Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. Today we're going to study love. First, we will look at what other people say about love. Then we'll start to study it as a system. So we'll see how love manifests, how love elements behave, love structure, laws, definition of love and God commandment, how to apply love, the enemy of love, and love in the Bible. What is love? When you type this question in the Google search, you get too many definitions of people trying to define love. They all agree that love makes people feel attached to one another. They also explain that love is about caring for others. But some people say that love can cause a person to misbehave, but that depends on how loved ones respond, or how lover mix love with their own lust. Many say that love is the essence of human life because love enables people to live together, work together, and achieve what they want to achieve. I think we all agree with that. And others also say that love can differ depending on what people like. They say that one can love animals, objects. For instance, people have pets, people have money, people have cars. People talk about love in many ways, in the poems, songs, the movies. But let's see what famous philosophers said. Aristotle was one of the greatest philosophers in the ancient Greek. He viewed love as to will the good of another. Gottfried Leibniz said love is to be delighted by the happiness of another. Jeremy Griffith defined love as unconditioned selfless. Ancient Greek philosophers studied and developed theory about love. According to Wikipedia, there are 6 Greek words for love. There is eros, philia, storge, agape, xenia, and philautia. Eros is a sexual passion mostly between couples, man and wife. Philia is the love of friends or brotherly love. Storge is love relationship between parent and their children. Agape is selfless love, is the kind of love that exists between God and people. Xenia is hospitality, guest friendship, charity, and generosity. Philautia, to love oneself or regard for one's own happiness or advantage. Love is mostly associated with family matters since the family is the primary social unit of the other societies and also where life begins. People have done extensive research about love, but it seems like there is a room that is not open yet, and the researchers focus more on love nature. What if we look at love from a different angle? What if we study the behavior of people involved in love and see how they behave? Then we can see similarities and maybe can also understand love from there. Today, I want to tackle this issue differently, focusing on how love manifests when people are affected. Let's study element of love. Love system. Everything that exists has a system in it that enables its performance. A system is a collection of elements that work together to achieve a common purpose. If you want to understand how things were created, how everything has a built-in system, how they function and how they dysfunction, you can read Systems and Creators book. It is found on Amazon or at www.theendoftheage.org. Everything that exists has a system in it and its functionality. Love also exists, and love is a system made of 2 main elements. There's a lover and a loved one. A lover is someone who gives love because love is giving and caring. A loved one is the person who receives. Love exists between a man and a wife, parent and the children, a leader and the followers, human and the animals, human and the object, God and the human. There's self-love. There's love from a person and his guest. There's love among brothers, and so on. From these examples, we can also distinguish lover and the loved ones, as you can see on the table. I want first to take 7 examples and explain them. And in many countries and many cultures, men are the one who initiate love. So when a man finds a wife, everything he will try is to get her attention and maybe also later to get a permanent access. So he will try anything possible to bring her home. And very serious men, they plan marriage. Children, they are born in the parents' house, so they are always in their presence. When a person loves animal, for instance, if someone loves a cat, the first thing they do is to take the cat at home, because the first responsibility here is like to own. You want to own what you love so that you can look after them. If someone loves a car, the first thing they do is to try to buy it and get it home. So anything you love, you take home, because your home is like your base. It's like where you want things to be so that you can look after them. Children are always in the parents' house. Followers are in the leader's zone. When you love a cat, for instance, or a dog, you take them home. Once you loved one are at home, the next thing that happens in your heart is to provide, because what you love, you have to provide. That's the second responsibility. So if it's a cat, you have to provide food. If it's a car, you have to provide petrol. If they are followers, the leaders are in charge of the well-being of their followers. If it's your wife or children, you have to provide, because men are naturally responsible and they are breadwinners of the whole family. Once everything is provided, the next thing that happens from a lover to the loved one is to improve. That's why parents enslave themselves to the future of the children. They provide good education, they advise, they give anything to make sure that the good future is provided. After improvement, the next thing is providing comfort. A real man makes sure that the wife is comfortable at home. So comfort can be divided into 2. We can say protect and entertain. She must feel safe at home and she must feel entertained. In this entertainment, that way many of us get confused and think that love is only about sexual relationship. Your cat must feel protected and entertained also. The cat likes someone who rubs them. So that's like entertainment. When you hold your children in your hands, or maybe they are laying in your chest, you see, that is also part of comforting, to give comfort to someone so that they can trust you. The last one is to teach and lead the loved ones. So you teach them, showing them the way to become lovers as well. You teach them how to care about others, and you teach them also to obey you and obey your superiors. How does love work between God and people? Did you know that God taught people all these above mentioned principles? Yes, He did. When He created Adam, the first thing He did, He brought him in His presence. So He brought him in the Eden garden. So it's like His home. Then He provided all the human needs. He provided food, all kinds of fruits. Then other principles, you can also find them when He was giving him instruction what to do. So He told him to protect the garden and keep it. He also taught him how to obey, because He gave him a command saying, don't touch that tree. These 2 elements of love, lover and the loved one, each has own responsibilities, but they complete each other. So when all their responsibilities come together, that's when the love works 100%. So a lover has to contribute by caring about the loved one, and the loved one has to accept it. So in this table, let's try to list the responsibility from a lover and the loved one. So a lover, when you love something, you have to bring it at home, you have to provide or feed, you have to improve, you have to comfort, protect, entertain. You also have to lead or teach. The loved one, because they are loved one, they don't have the ability to look after you or to pay you back. So they only owe you one thing: to be available, submit, or obey. So if we have to draw the love structure, it's gonna look like this one. You see, a lover must do all these things for the loved one. So the loved one must only submit because they don't have the ability to care about the lover. The lover is greater than the loved one. So using our 6 examples, this is love between God and people. So God cares about people and then they must submit. A man cares about his wife and then a wife must submit. Parents look after their children and then children must submit. A leader look after the people and then they must submit. So how can we recognize a lover and the loved one? How can we distinguish them? How can we understand our position in the society? Since love exists between 2 people, so the first person is going to be called A and the second one is going to be B. So when A is greater than B, A is called a lover and the B is a loved one. So A loves B. When A is smaller than B, A is loved one. So A submit to B. When A is equal to B, A and B, they are friends. They are like brothers and sisters. So they look after each other. They care about each other and then they submit to one another. When A is not smaller than anything and A is equal to nothing, then A is individual, is self. That's called self-love or self-centered. It's a person who think that nothing is above them and they are not equal to anyone. So those people who think they can be like God, is a self-centered person. The following is top-down structure of relationship between God and the family. God is above all, so he cares about the father and the father must submit. And the father cares about mother must submit. And the mother is directly connected to the children because you remember she's the one who nurtured the child. She spent 9 months pregnant and rest of her life looking after the children. So a child and the father, they are connected through the mother, so they are not directly connected. Mother must obey God through a father, and the child must obey father through a mother, and the child must obey God through his parents. You remember, it's 5th command. Children must obey their parents. So like you see this structure, God help a child through his parents, and the child submit to God through his parents. A man must first obey God's command before he goes to him. A man is responsible for the whole family, and the man love his wife like his own body. The wife also who dishonor their husband, they cannot go directly to God because they must first fulfill the law that say, honor your husband. Children also must obey the parents. As the 5th command, they must obey their parents before they get anything from God. This hierarchy, it is applied everywhere in the society. If you go to government, to school, to military, any society, the company, employee cannot jump the hierarchy and go directly to the manager or the boss, the owner of the company. They first have to go through hierarchy. The supervisor also cannot jump manager and go directly to the owner. Owner also doesn't talk directly to the employee. you must first go through the hierarchy. From all this we have seen above, I can now define love. According to the Bible, God is love and God is also the Spirit. So, love is the spirit that influences or empowers lovers to care for others without self-benefit, and also the loved ones to submit without doubt. Love can be compared to a social operating system that binds people together. Love is also an original human culture in the form of humanity. Love is the culture God gave people but was interrupted by Satan teaching people to disobey. Jesus restored it. Jesus' disciples lived this culture. You can read it in Acts chapter 4, verse 32 to 37. God will restore it when evil is completely removed from us. Love is like a magnet that attracts people's hearts together. Love from God can fully satisfy a human heart. Where there is no love, there is no God. There is no peace, there is no vision, but division. Without love, there is no life. There is a mess and a death. The reason why God is interested in love, it's because He is our creator. He created families and societies. To create is to make something. How do we make something? We think about how it's gonna look, and then we make parts, then we assemble them together to make that shape that we want. So that's how we make something. For example, a car is made of many parts, but a car can only be a car when all those parts are assembled together. So we use bolts and nuts to attach all these parts together and we build a car. So God also makes human beings, but to create societies, He puts them together using love, because love is like a magnet that pulls all the hearts together and the people can live together. Sin caused separation in the society. So that's why God gives us laws and commands so that He can keep us in love. Now we're going to see the relationship between love and God's 10 commandments. The greatest commandment is commandment of love. It's a summary of all 10 commandments. Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 to 40. Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and a great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commands hang all the laws and the prophets." So now we're going to compare love structure and the greatest command and also 10 commandments. We have seen that love exists between two parties or two people. There is a lover and a loved one. So from the loved one, if we can remember the responsibilities, the loved one is required to obey, to submit, to accept without worries and doubt. And the lover also is required to love those who need him without self-benefit. Every human being has a lover because no one is above everything except God. So our lovers are God and the parent. That's why 5 commands tells us to obey God and our parents. The other 5 tell us to love our neighbors. So with this 10 commandments, you can see the first one is to love our God with our heart, with our soul, with our mind. And the rest of 10 commandments, they teach us to love our neighbor. So how do we apply love in the real life? Everyone in the society, whatever position we are in, we all have superiors. Even if we are in the top positions, we still have our parents and God to submit to. I myself, as an example, I do have superiors, my parents and God above me. So I owe them submission through hierarchy. That is my vertical position in the love structure. Then, other people are my neighbors. They are equal to me or they are below me, so which means they need me. So as my responsibilities, I have to love them. To love them means to care. That is my horizontal position in the love structure. The enemy of love. If we go back to the definition of love, lovers care for the loved ones without self-benefit. Loved one also submit without doubt. It all started by doubting. Satan ensured that Eve doubted love from God. He told them that God is hiding something from them because he doesn't want them to eat the fruit so that they can be wise and be like him. So they doubted. That's why they ate the fruit. Then evil entered their heart. Our society's biggest problem is self-centeredness that leads to self-benefit. Once people are motivated with benefits they get from others, love will not be with them. That's how the society is divided. That's what separates us. Even now, we are supposed to be caring one another without self-benefit. The world leadership style is based on capitalism, which is self-benefit to build capitals, where top people are driven by businesses, then the others must follow them. The top people live luxurious life, and then the rest must serve them. Love can't work here because in love, a top person is the one who cares for the least ones. That's why the world is cursed. People's hearts are driven by money instead of love. But no one can serve two masters. You can't serve God, who's love, and the money, which is self-benefit at the same time. Love in the Bible. He who does not love does not know God, because God is love. God created us in his image and his likeness. Since God is love, he also wants us to be love and reflect his characters. Genesis chapter 3 shows us how humankind fell from love. Then the entire book of Bible was written to show us all the ways God used to bring people back in love. When you love someone, you have to protect them because that is the responsibility of one of the responsibility of a lover. Since evil is in our heart, sometimes we do evil stuff without even realizing that we are in a danger. So, as a parent struggles to save a child from evil, the same that God does to save his children. Sometimes a parent is very strict to keep a child out of the danger, and sometimes they give them rules, what they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed, just to protect them. You don't want your loved one to be associated with the evil. Sin occurs when someone fails to love. Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28, and the Revelation 14, we see how a rebel angel failed to fit in love. Through his wisdom and the knowledge of hidden secrets and the wisdom in trading, he gathered richness from gold and silver. Then he lifted up his heart and he felt it was like the Most High. So you can see he failed to submit also. Then he planted the same mentality in the Adam and Eve, and they also wanted to be like God, activating self-centered spirit in their heart. So they failed to fit in the life cycle. New Christ is family. All the laws and the commands are to bring people back in love. Jesus explained it in the Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 to 40. In the Galatians 5:14, for all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. John 13:34 to 35. A new command I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. The church that Jesus left on the earth were living according to love law. There was no partiality, no poor, no needy, because they shared everything equally. That is exactly how God wants us to live, sharing everything. That's what He wanted since the beginning, and that is how we will live when evil is removed from us. It's found in Acts 4, chapter 4, 32 to 35. Now, the multitude of those who believed were of one heart and one soul. Neither did anyone say that any of the things he possessed was his own, but they had all things in common. And with great power the apostles gave witness to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and a great grace was upon them all. Nor was there anyone among them who lacked, for all who were possessors of lands or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of the things that were sold and laid them at apostles' feet, and they distributed to each as anyone had need. There are many definitions, books, poems, and songs written by many people explaining love. Many people explain love in the 6 Greek words for love: eros, philia, storge, agape, xenia, and philontia. But if we study how love manifests when people love each other, we can understand it better. Love exists between two people. Love exists between a lover and the loved one. A lover's responsibilities are to own, take home, provide, improve, comfort, teach or train the loved one, empowering them to love others. The responsibility of the loved one is to submit to the lover. There are 4 love principles. When a person is greater than others, cares for them. When a person is minor, he submits to the greater ones, the lovers. When both are equal, they share love responsibility, which is to love each other and then submit to each other. When a person is self-centered, they care for no one. The world is standing here today as everyone is seeking self-interest. Everyone is pushing self-love. Love is applicable when I submit to my superiors, then I also care for minors, which is exactly the Great Commandment and 10 Commandments are all about. God is love and wants us to be like Him. He uses love spirit to unite us, but Satan uses self-centered spirit to separate us. God wants us to live in the love since the beginning, but the evil is always in us, and we are struggling to live like that. But by the end of this age, God will remove evil, then we will be able to live together in love. It is difficult to understand love because there is no true love in the world. That's why we have too much trouble in the world. No one loves each other like God requires it. The importance of love. The Bible tells us that anyone without love is nothing but a noisy brass or clanging cymbal. It doesn't matter what title they have, whether you're a pastor, a priest, a prophet, a man of faith, even angels, because Satan himself was an angel, but he has no love. People who have no love are like cell phone without a SIM card. This cell phone can be switched on and maybe play music and open documents from internal memory, but it does not have network to connect to the main supplier and the other cell phones. So a cell phone without network is useless. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Though I speak with tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I have become sounding brass or clanging cymbal. And though I have a gift of prophecy and understanding all the mystery and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profit me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, but whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part, we prophesy in part, but when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. And now abide faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love.